Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the heDONizm podcast. I'm Dante, also known as Mecca Don to Don Mecca. Some may even call me Rick James. Why? Because I'm cold-blooded. Some may even call me Coach, but if you know, you do know. Hey guys, now more than ever, we're in the age of cancel culture judged by the court of public opinion, and I'll be careful with my words. But just in case I drop a noun, an adjective, a pronoun that may be out of place, or even if I drop an expletive, please don't hold me to it. You guys know what it is. I'm just here to pod. In true heDONizm fashion, I always like to start out with gratitude, and that's no exception for today. Why would it be? So I'm always grateful for you guys. Thank you once again for tuning in. But as I continue in the form of gratitude, let me just please, and this is a standing O, I want to actually give a salute and shout out to an institution, but more specifically, a person. Lady, you are definitely Black girl magic. And I want to say salute to you because you have made history, and for lack of a better word, you have made so many people proud. And drilling into it a little bit more, young Black women proud. Morgan Price, salute to you. Who is Morgan Price? A sophomore at FU, Fisk University, majoring in biology, and a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated. Morgan, we salute you. So you guys may be, well, why is Don talking about Miss Price? Well, she became the first HBCU gymnast to win a national title. I'll say that again. She became the first HBCU gymnast to win a national title. This is rare. This is rare. It's few and far between that you see Black gymnasts competing, let alone from an HBCU, and taking the chip. But she did this following the footsteps of none other than her coach, Coach Tarver. And Morgan won the USAG all-around national championship. Her scores were short, just slightly below a perfect 10. She dominated in the following: the floor exercises, the vault, the bars, and the balance beam. Now, these are all difficult activities that fall in the realm of gymnastics, and this lady dominated in them. I'm talking bars, the balance beam, floor activities, and the vault. Let me tell you something. When I watch it, I cringe. But to know that she does it and has if you look at this young lady's landing, not only does she show discipline and how she postures herself before she takes the mat. And I'm not just saying this because she's a young Black woman, right? This is not bias or biases when I say this, but this is coming from a proud place of seeing people become the first at something. And I tell you, these things have been going on for years, but to see people now taking a stand and say, you will not mute me, this will be televised, and you will see the greatness of who not only I am, but who we are. So shout out to Morgan Price. But here's the irony and a trifecta in this greatness. Price won as the first HBCU gymnast. But her coach, Corinne Tarver, back in 1989, guess what? She did the same thing. What am I saying? In 1989, Coach Tarver was the first African-American woman to win an all-around gymnast chip. So this not only makes her a proud coach, it makes her the first to coach an all-around winner at an HBCU. And lastly, let me just shout them out again. FU, that Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, as an HBCU. But this solidifies a year ago to this month. This was their mark to the world that they made a year ago. Fisk made history as the first gymnast team from an HBCU to compete at an NCAA level.
I was told I didn't have the right body type to make the Olympics because I had a butt. I was not a stick figure. Now, did it bother me? No, because the Olympics weren't my goal. But if it had been my goal, that would have crushed me.
Yeah, for
To
sure.
be told you don't have a shot. Basically, you're saying no matter how talented I am, because of the way I look, you're not going to let me on that team.
Because of my curves. Yeah.
And
that's a hard pill to swallow.
It is. And it's still a pill that many people still say to these black athletes and these young gymnasts. And sometimes they'll say to an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, well, guess what? We're going to lose them to basketball or volleyball or field hockey or lacrosse or soccer or, these other sports or track because you've
counted them out.
You've already basically told them they had absolutely no chance of ever being fully successful.
Guys, it's one thing to look the way you do, to be who you are, and then step in an arena where people are looking at you like, do they think they are going to compete with us? We are the University of Blase Blase. We are Blase Blase University, and we stand on Blase principles. But for you to walk in there, dope sisters, to walk in there with your head high and take the chip, Morgan Price, you're a bad one. I'm telling you, you're a bad one. But in the same vein of Fisk University, since we're on the subject of Fisk University, let me just say rest in peace to Mandisa Hundley. You guys probably remember her. She was a top 9 contestant on American Idol back in the day. But she is no longer with us. And we were talking irony, and I just wanted to take a minute and pause and say to all of the friends and family, you are with us in thought and in prayer. And let me just do a pod addendum and go back to the last pod, because I did some memorandum, and what a huge list of greatness that we have lost to now include Mandisa Hundley, beautiful spirit. But let me just do a pod addendum to mention the finisher, Mr. C, right? I did not mention this the last pod, but Mr. C, your contributions to hip hop were not in vain. You've done many works in front of the camera, behind the scenes, and on tour with some of the greats, to include the late great B.I.G. So rest in peace and thoughts and prayers to the finishers, family and friends. Just wanted to mention that as a pod addendum, because I did not mention his name the last time. Mandisa, some of you may be trying to remember who she was. I'll give you a little tidbit of where you may remember her from as a contestant on American Idol. She did Shackles by Mary Mary, right? And after she blew out the judges, Paula Abdul, Simon, and Randy, right? Mr. Yo, Randy, right? After she went out, they kind of talk amongst themselves. Well, the cameras were rolling, and this was a live broadcast. And Simon went on to make some funky comments about the young lady, that of which I choose not to repeat. But shame on you, Simon, because you never know what you say that can have an effect on someone. And I only bring that up for this matter and this matter only. Be careful with your words. I always like to start the pod off with, if I drop something that may make you feel uncomfortable, please keep in mind that I'm just here to pod. So I'm being as extremely careful as I possibly can, not trying to be perfect, but I do want to drop that disclaimer, because you have to put yourself in a rhythmic flow of being careful as to what you say and not just speaking for clout or cream, right? And in this particular case, Simon, shame on you retrospectively for what you said about the young lady, because this is just me, right? This is my opinion, and this is all subjective. But I think it may have had an impact on the young lady's outcome as to how she saw herself in the mirror. So once again, Mandisa, rest in peace. Curtist, I'll say it again, Curtist, 50 Cent, Curtist, 50 Cent Jackson. I'll say it again, Curtist, 50 Cent Jackson. You'll realize in hip hop, you usually come in the game with aliases or call names or your go name or your stage name. But once you've rectified who you are and your body of work speaks for itself, you then are called sometimes by, I'll just say it, your government name, Curtis Jackson, also known as 50 Cent. Adopted the name 50 Cent as a metaphor for change. The man was going down a path, and through some institutional and reform, he chose a different way, but he went by 50 metaphorically for the sake of change. But we're talking about Mr. Get Rich or Die Trying. And I'm talking about the album, the LP, and the motion picture. We're talking about Mr. In the Club. Go shorty. It's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday. Mr. In the Club, 50 Cent. Mr. Hanging Upside Down, which made all of the men, all ages, regardless of body type, want to go out and rock the white tees like 50. But 50 was in much shape and could talk the talk and walk the walk. We talking Mr. Wankster. Say, use a wank. Man, that was my jam, right? We're talking Mr. G Unit's Records, who went on to sign Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, Young Buck, and then later in the venture with Shady Aftermath and Interscope, The Game. I'll say it again. Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, Young Buck, and then The Game. Masterclass when it comes to MCs. These are great MCs, but yet they were all part of G-Unit. But we're talking about Mr. G Unit Records. But I'm also talking about Mr. Grammy Award winner, Mr. Emmy Award winner, Mr. Source Awards winner, Mr. BET Awards winner, Mr. MTV Moon Man recipient and award winner, Mr. Billboard's Award winner, Mr. AMA Award winner, ASCAP Award winner, World Music Award winner. Hey, yo, just to name a few. Need I say, the man. This is just according to old Don Don. You guys know what it is. I'm just here to pod. But shall I say it? I think I should. I'm glad you said that. Well, let's say it then. Okay. I'll say it. He was the one that resurrected the Stars Network. What was Stars notorious for? Go ahead, I'll wait. This was the man that brought power to the Stars Network. This was the man that brought Ghost, Tyreek, Kane to Stars. This was the man that brought up the storyline and the lifestyle of BMF that made it interesting for some. But we're talking about an EP, one that sits behind the camera and also can do a little something on the acting tip. I'm talking about 50 Cent, y'all. But why am I talking about old 50, right? 50 recently launched G-Unit Studios in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'll say it again. He recently launched G-Unit Studios in Shreveport, Louisiana. Let me just pause here just for a second, right? This is not shade. I'm just podding, but I'll say it. You got individuals like Dame Dash who talks about how many movies he has. And you talk about certain individuals that have created movies and got a body of work when it comes to motion picture. But this is an individual. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson is an actual member of a body of work that when we watch that show where we're all going and talking about, hey, yo, it's about to come on. They say this is a big, rich town. Yeah, I just come from the poorest parts. Right? Like, hey, that's my joint. When the song come on, you just get your bop on, right? Okay, but then here comes the storyline. So many people have been involved with power to the point where it even tarnished Tariq's, not his persona, not his stage name Tariq, but to the point where people were actually saying this dude is up to no good. When someone can write a script for your character in a TV show, a play, or a motion picture, and they're believable. Do you guys remember JR, the man you loved to hate? right? I can go on and name some other characters, like the individuals from Scandal, right? I can go on and on, but I'll stop there. But Tariq's character was getting actual death threats just because his character was wrote to be naive and mischievous and true to life form. He was bigger than life as a mischievous, young, growing man under the direction of his father, Ghost. But 50 recently launched G-Unit Studios in Shreveport, Louisiana, if I didn't say that already. And let me just say this. When you say you are going to do something, now we're talking about a New Yorker that goes down to LA, and I'm not talking out west, I'm talking about down south. I'm talking about like the Bayou. I'm talking Shreveport, Louisiana. To say that I'm going to drop a studio of this magnitude, you know what? You got to have a backing behind that. Oh, and that's no exception for what the man did because he had the city backing him. It was a 7-0. A 7-0 vote from the city council saying, yay, bring this thing in. We are backing him up. But not only that, the mayor of Shreveport, Louisiana, went on and declared April 18th as Curtist 50 Cent Jackson Day. And he received the key to the city. What an honor. Hey, listen. Love him or hate him, the underdog's on top. Hey, listen, regardless if you like, love, or don't give a rat's ass about this situation, it is amazing. And I'll ask you, what are you doing for philanthropy? Because guess what? He's even talking about doing building schools, increasing real estate, revenue for the city. So he's just not thinking about me, myself, and I. He's thinking about others. And the man went on as they were sitting down getting a panel discussion with Q&A and also him sharing his vision with the local media and national media. He went on to say, and I got to tip my hat to him, and I even talked about this in the last pod, it is time out for us of being haters and start to appreciate some of the individuals that are making a difference in other people's lives other than themselves. I mean, they're doing well for themselves, but I'm talking about those that are making a difference in other people's lives, but also putting a W-2 or 1099 in their hand. I'm talking about that of Tyler Perry. Stand by. I'll let you know why I just said that. 50 was sitting down with this panel and said, hey, yo, the prototype for what I'm doing, the prototype for what I'm doing is already laid out. The blueprint has been set already. Here's the example, and I'm paraphrasing. Tyler Perry Studios in Georgia. I'm doing something of that magnitude.
You've seen some of the good things that Tyler Perry done in Atlanta, and you'll see this mirror that to a degree. July, non-scripted projects will start there, and then by January, the scripted projects will be in there.
And 50 went on to have some architects or some digital architects to actually gin up an enhanced version or digital version of what the expectations are to look like of G-Unit Studios. And I'll just tell you this, I'm one that dreams big every day, every night. And from what I saw, it looks amazing. 50, shout out to you. Shout out to you. You are doing hip hop not a mediocre service. You're doing hip hop a fantastic service. And I'll just say this, when it comes to the man getting in front or getting behind the microphone, he doesn't fall short of a delivery. So recently we talked about the big three minus one, that being J. Cole, right? Your K. Dot and your Drizzy Drake. Well, a lot of people, to include those of like your A$AP Rocky, your Rick Ross, and now Chris Brown and Quavo, have been making public to this rap beef that they have with each other. Are we in the land of let's strike while the iron is hot? But I will say this, this is not a copycat beef, if you will. I don't think they're doing this for numbers, right? And this is what I'm going to say when it comes to discussing the beef or the alleged beef between Chris Breezy, and Quavo from the Migos. that it is alleged that their beef derived from a woman or from women. So I'm going to stay off of this situation just because we all know when a woman's involved with a man's beef, things can get heated. I think this is something that may require a sit down between the two of them. And speaking of sit down, it was either early of this year or late of last year where Chris Brown and Quavo were both spotted. It's on tape of them being at a gala or a fashion show and how shady of the invite guests. Now, you know, anytime you go to a gala, award show, or anywhere where your dignitaries are going to be or your celebrities are going to be, you actually have, I won't say interns, but you actually have assistants or planograms of individuals and where they will be seated. And they knew that when they put that Chris Brown next to Quavo, that that was a clash of celebrity take, right? You may want to put a B-lister in between these guys because they're up when it comes to the music industry. And Chris Brown falls in the realm of R&B, rhythm and blues, but also the man can go pop, right? They're calling him King Jr. of pop, that being he can emulate the late, great MJ, allegedly or subjectively. Call it what you want, but the boy can go. The boy can go. I'll be honest with you, when it comes to these little young cats, Chris Brown is one of my favorite that can get it popping. Now, this is not me pulling cape or running bell for the man for his mishap back in the day with the young lady. You all know what I'm talking about. But there becomes a time where you have to separate the art from the artist. Okay? And I look at Chris Brown in the artist form. I don't look at him as my martyr. I don't look at him as my role model. I don't look at him to be my kid's role model, but I do see the art. I do know how to separate the art from the artist, and the boy can sing, if you will. His vibrato is ridiculous. And the fact that you go to his show and he'll give you a 2-hour, maybe even a 3-hour show, and the man is singing and dancing, and need I say, the boy can flow. He can spit bars. Chris Brown has a lyrical flow, and anytime you get on the track with let's go, I'm talking about that with him and Busta Rhymes. Chris Brown was right there with him. We all know Busta Rhymes and Chris Brown have the roll of the tongue, and they can actually get it popping almost like a Twister or any of your fast rappers. Chris Brown was right there with him, getting busy. And I will say, when it comes to the songs that was thrown at each other, sheesh, it was some nasty digs thrown at each other. Quavo, he can keep it in the pocket, but I'll be honest, it's geographical. It's geographical hotness when it comes to Quavo. It may be regional hotness when it comes to Quavo. This may be the one you want to listen to when you get to the club, or as some would say, when you go to the shoe show, you may want to listen to a Quavo. But all around the world, cats are like, yo, Chris Breezy, I can put him in the deck when I'm with my young lady, or when the young ladies are with their young man, or whatnot, when you're with your significant other. Chris Brown may be the one you want to put on the deck if you want to light a candle. Chris Brown may be the one you want to put on at the barbecue. Chris Brown may be the one you want to put on when you're with the pop culture. Hey, listen, I don't mean to muddy the waters, but all I'm saying is Chris Brown and Quavo, I don't want to really get into a deep dive as to what they said and go back and forth and dissect lyrical content, because guess what? It could get fugly. But we know this thing could possibly turn ugly, and for the sake of the culture and two great people, let's keep it cool, fam, if y'all don't mind. Now, what I'm about to say, I'm getting in here and I'm getting right out of it, right? This is my POV. And some of you may agree. And as a matter of fact, I've done some research, and I know for a fact that some of you agree with me on this one. And this is going to sound like gibberish, but I'm just going to say it. Have you ever had a desire or an urge? Let's remove the stereotypes and biases for a second, okay? I want to talk about food. More specifically, I want to talk about fast food. And let me just state for the sake of the pod, this is not an ad, nor a dish or a diss. But I do want to state some facts. And I want to talk about the restaurant and franchise Popeyes. Have you or your family ever had the desire to just go, hey, yo, I would like some cluck. I want some barnyard pimp. I'm talking about chicken. And one could say, why is this dude talking about chicken on a pod? Follow me. Rock with me, if you will. So, again, that desire, that urge to have some chicken, and this is not something I regularly do, because I'll be honest, old Don can burn. I can't do something on the grill. But every now and again, when your schedule's busy and you're hectic, and sometimes you're coming from somewhere and you want to get to your home and you really don't want to go out and sit down and have to deal with the whole pompous and circumstance of that, you just want to pull up and get a little bird. So I had a desire and I wanted some Popeyes. I was yearning, but yet wasn't fiending for that Louisiana taste. But yet I knew if anybody could deliver in the gap or the time span that I've had chicken from a fast food spot, surely I could go to Popeyes. But it's been a minute, but I forgot. I forgot. And I'll tell you, my litmus test was drive up to the joint, and if you don't see a line double wrapped around, you may be good. 5 or 6 carts, I may have patience for it because I know what the outcome is going to be. Good food, allegedly. So there was maybe, 2 cars in the drive-thru? I pulled up and I said, hey, yo, because you know all you have to do is add a side or 2 and your ticket just went up $20. And you're like, Lord have mercy, it's just chicken. Really? Nonetheless, I asked the person at the drive-thru, do you have any specials, chicken only? No, we don't. I go, okay. Let me get, I can't remember if it was a 6 or an 8, right? It wasn't just for me. It was for some others as well. I said, let me get an 8, chicken only. I said, make it spicy. If it's not asking too much, may I have dark? The man said, you'll have to pull up. It's a 35-minute wait. I go, okay. I said, but do you have any spicy ready right now? He said, yes, we do, but you'll get dark and white. It started to get complicated to a point where I had to start writing down what the man said because it wasn't making sense to me. And he said, well, we got mild coming out the grease right now. You can have that. I said, no, it's been a minute. I want the spicy. So I pull up and he says, sir, we don't have any spicy. I said, well, you just told me it'll be a 35-minute wait. So anyway, I go, well, why don't you tell me what you have? He said, sir, I'm just going to be honest with you. Whatever you order right now is going to be a 30-minute wait. And I said, well, it's not a lot of people here. Am I missing something? I don't want to give you guys detail per detail, but I will say this. All of my experiences of going through Popeyes have been difficult, not user-friendly experiences. And I went and I asked 5 people, can they relate? And they had stories similar, or if not worse than mine. I'll say this, after I paid for my meal via iPay, the gentleman said, well, we can give you a refund and you can just leave. And I said, hey, yo, I don't want to make this difficult. I'm just here for chicken and I'm out. Why don't you just tell me what you have ready? He said, well, what is it that you want? I said, listen, it doesn't matter what your menu say. It doesn't matter what I want, because if you don't have it, I'm wasting my time. What do you have ready? He said, we have 3 legs and 3 wings. I said, would that declare as a 6-piece? He said, yes. I'm a grown-ass man. Do you think I'm going to eat some little legs and some little wings and nibble on them things when I'm trying to feast on some bird? All right. There were 2 people parked in the pull up here spaces. So I knew right then that 35-minute may have turned into 45. Guys, let me just say this. I took a L and I just went without. But what is it about Popeyes? Just for the sake of pod narrative, it seems like the last time I was in New York, it was a walk-in joint. And it had a quadruple thick glass. And this is what I saw. I'm just telling you what I saw. It was only black employees in there. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I pull up in 2 Popeyes that I can name. It seemed like it was only black people working up in there. And I'm like, are there no Caucasians or European Americans that work at Popeyes in 2024? Am I bugging, or is it a conspiracy? And why is it that sometimes your worst forms of service comes from our own people? This is subjective and also my POV. But these are things that I would love to change. I would love to have the opportunity to even do training or customer service training. It could be I would love to do training, pardon me. And I hear that it has something to do with the wages that are being shared for the employees, that it's not compensatable and reasonable enough for people to give you quality service. I don't think that's necessarily a good excuse. Not too much on the bad. I will say that there are some good outcomes out there, but I want to hear from you. Have you had bad experiences when it comes to this establishment? And is there anything wrong with us calling out things that we see from a majority basis of a black perspective to say that this has got to change or this should be better? And I'm not talking about that we need to make a martyr. There's plenty of other things that we could be worried about in the world. Dante, you're talking about chicken. I am. I am. But again, this is just a pod perspective. Because if you guys remember in 2020, when this chicken sandwich dropped, some of y'all went crazy. I saw a video of a young lady, just for research purposes only and for entertainment purposes, if you will. They said the store opened, or the restaurant opened at 10:30. The lady didn't get her chicken sandwich until 12:30, somewhere around that time. And it was a crave that had everybody in line for days. Was it that serious? No. But obviously when people have a desire and love for something, they want to get at it. But why is the narrative always attitude, unprofessionalism, uncleanliness? Why is it always these things that are tied to that establishment? And it's not just Popeyes. But I will say that we are the face of the marketing for the brand when you turn on the commercials. There's a lovely lady on these commercials with a little apron on, and she's just selling the heck out of this. If I'm not mistaken, the comedian Bruce used to be a brand ambassador for the franchise itself. But you know there are a big 3, right? Your churches, decline. KFC, big decline. And is Popeyes now amongst the big 3 to be categorized with a big decline? I mean, am I bugging? You guys talk to me, right? I'm coming from a pod perspective. It's not always about world news for me and always who's got beef in hip hop, but I want to know what are the concerns and the outcomes in your community. Some communities, and let me just be specific, some black communities have food deserts and don't have any restaurants. But the first restaurant they put up is usually a chicken joint or a burger joint, right? So I'm speaking from what I know, not what I heard. But I'm just asking you, I'm not trying to get big deep or mega deep with it. You don't have to put on 2 oxygen tanks. I just ask you to don a snorkel and just come surface level and just take a look inside and let me know. Is it just me? Comment down below. You guys know what it is. I like for you to like. I would like for you to comment, and I would love for you to subscribe to the heDONizm podcast via YouTube and also other DSPs. But guys, am I bugging? I mean, I'm not just making this up. I said, you know what? Is this worthy of a pod narrative? Am I the only one that feels this way? Now, let's not all act like we have silver spoons. And how dare Dante mention a chicken establishment as a black man? How dare he? You ain't never had no desire for some fried chicken? Really? I'm just asking, is this a thing? I want to talk about it. And again, this is a monologue, so it may be somewhat rhetorical, but comment down below if you've had an experience that has just made you go, why? Why is this the case? And not one, not two, not three, but all of the establishments that have to deal with the names that I'm talking about. Now, just for the record, I'm not taking shots at the name, the brand, the taste, but I am talking about customer quality. Why is it that way? Why is it always a math problem when it comes to, the drive-thru is open or the dining room is closed, or the dining room is open and the drive-thru is closed, or we taking cash only, or it's always one of these narratives when you simply just want the experience to match the name. Am I bugging? Am I tripping? Am I off my block? Am I just being a dodo? Talk to me. Comment down below. There was a subject matter that I wanted to talk about, but I think I'm going to wait because it has an effect on a certain community. And I'm not talking about the LGBTQAI plus community. I'm talking about the comedian community. There is an individual right now that has a reality show on HBO, and it is some raw footage and scenes of this individual's lifestyle. And I'm not sure how I want to approach the conversation, but this comedian recently said something that was highly opinionated from a comedian standpoint. So I think I'm going to redirect this in a later pod and talk about the boundaries of comedy, because right now you have comedy, you have politics that are kind of going hand in hand, and it's almost like the unwritten rules and the habitual line stepping that are taking place that are causing a rift, and I'll even say it, in the black community. But we'll talk about it in another pod another day. You guys know what it is. We're in the age of cancel culture. You don't believe me? Ask your former president. They pulling witnesses out the jury left and right. And when and what trial have jurors been named? Okay, you're not naming them, but you're saying the guy that's on the heDONizm podcast is juror number 3. Gee whiz, you might as well just spell it out. Old Dante is on the jury. Hey, that's not true, but I'm just giving examples of what the media are doing. And Trump's defense team are asking for jurors' name. Are you guys really trying to muscle these people and scare them out of being jurors? The trial is on hush money right now, right? Not the RICO, the jump off and the hush money. But the jurors are shaking in their boots. Oh my God, I can't. I have anxiety in this case. Oh, I just can't look over in that direction. If I sit in the juror's box, I know that he's there and it's going to give me anxiety and I cannot. Come on, fam. Really? Do your civic duty and get on up out of there when it's time for you to get on up out of there. But this is becoming a show. Anyway, where was I? We're in the age of cancel culture. Not the court of law, but judged by the court of public opinion. And today, I was trying to be careful with my words. But if I dropped a noun, an adjective, or a pronoun that was out of place, or even an expletive, you guys know what it is. Don't hold me to it. You know what it is. Don't hold me to it. You know what it is. Don't hold me to it. I'm just here to pod. Until we meet again, guys, it was fun today. God bless. Peace.